And often people are starting in the third chapter, starting with equitation, don't know how the horse learns, don't understand anything about learning theory, probably not respecting the basic needs of the horse, and so the horse is having all sorts of mental and emotional problems. And because there's a lack of understanding, the foundation isn't so solid, so the horse is frightened. We don't have precise control over the horse's feet. The environment does control the horse's feet. We're in flight response. And now we're going to go into competition. What's going to happen? Probably going to have an accident, or the horse is going to become a little bit mad and start developing conflict behaviors. Hi everyone, Andy Booth with you again, another video, and we'll talk about how we're improving our horse-human relationships using horseman science and having good horsemanship and using the science of understanding so that we know better about what's going on, how the horse is learning, how the horse is understanding, avoiding anthropomorphic ideas and having a more scientific understanding of what's really going on. Could the horse really be disrespectful, or is he just poorly educated? Am I taking things personally because I think that the horse is not respecting my leadership and things like this? And some of these interpretations, which have worked out terribly well over the years, we're starting to understand better and better now with science what's really going on. And the better we know, the better we can do. So today I'll just talk about how things have gone a little bit over here in France. And the way we've kind of broken equitation down into we imagine it like a great big book, and there's 4 chapters in that great big book. And the first one over here, we use the same words in French. The first one's called comprehension. Now, what that means is understanding. So comprehension. It means comprehension. How are we understanding the horse? And what that basically means is, do we understand the ethology of the horse? Do we understand the needs of the horse? How does the horse spend 24 hours in a day? How do hierarchies work? How does horse pecking orders work in herds? What are the senses of the horse? How does the horse see? How does the horse hear? How does the horse taste? How much sleep does a horse need? How many hours a day does a horse eat? How many kilometers a day or how many miles a day does a horse walk? And really understand the horse for what he is, and especially respect his needs. Is my horse getting social interaction? Is my horse moving enough? Is my horse eating enough fiber for enough hours a day? Am I taking care of those things? And am I understanding? Do I have a comprehension of learning theory? Do I understand how my horse's brain works? Do I understand that there's a limbic system and a reptilian system, but there isn't a prefrontal cortex like mine? So the horse doesn't have reasoning abilities like mine, and he doesn't have a moral understanding like I do. He doesn't know right from wrong, good from bad, correct from incorrect. He couldn't make a mistake even if he wanted to, because he doesn't know what a mistake is. Am I fully understanding that and therefore not taking things personally? Do I understand how the horse learns in an associative way and a non-associative way? Do I know how to teach the horse to respond to certain things and how to teach the horse not to respond to certain things and help the horse to make the difference between the two? Am I using conditioning correctly? Do I understand operant conditioning, pressure and response relationships? And am I using classical conditioning, where I'm reducing the pressures to the smallest versions of themselves and to where now they're just signals and not aversive stimulus? And do I understand how to use reinforcements? So do I understand that positive reinforcement is adding something attractive after the good response, and that negative reinforcement is removing something, probably aversive, at the moment when the horse responds correctly, and that equitation is largely based upon negative reinforcement. The horse learning to remove halter pressure, the horse learning to remove pressure of the legs, the horse learning to remove pressure of the hands. And do I know how to use correctly those two reinforcements? Do I understand the exclusivity of pressure? Do I understand the timing of the release of pressure? Do I know how to use pressure correctly and escalate the pressure in an ethical way? All these things, understanding how to use pressure and how to also understanding how to use positive reinforcements. Do I just have a bunch of carrots in my pocket and I kind of dish them out any willy-nilly, or do I give them out with precision? Do I teach the horse, stand still, head straight, now you can have it? Or do I let the horse come and sniff in my pockets and learn all sorts of things that he really shouldn't learn? Do I understand where bad behaviors come from? That bad behaviors come from learning what he doesn't need to learn due to errors in negative reinforcement, due to the fact that the horse finds solutions to remove pressures, and they're not necessarily the solutions that we need the horse to find. So do I understand that I often create the bad behaviors? They're not created by the horse. He doesn't know how to be bad. He wouldn't try to be wrong anyway. He doesn't know what it is. So am I fully understanding punishment? Do I understand that there's positive punishment, negative punishment, and that neither of them are any good? Positive punishment, meaning that I'm adding something after the horse does something wrong. Of course, that would be difficult if he doesn't know what wrong is. And I'm smacking the horse or hitting the horse and causing major associative problems that the horse has no control over his environment and certainly doesn't know what he should have done. So now he makes associations that are very aversive or very unattractive as far as the situation goes. And negative punishment, where I'm not giving my horse dinner, for example, because he behaved badly today, which of course he would never understand, which would be a terribly stupid thing to do. So do I understand that punishment doesn't really have a role to play in a modern ethical training program? Do I understand how to condition responses correctly, how to use my reinforcers, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement? And do I understand how to teach the horse to react to certain stimulus and not to react to others? And if I understand all of those things, then I have that comprehension, that understanding, which is the first chapter, which every rider should have before he starts trying to do equitation or competition. Now the problem is most don't. So the first chapter should be comprehension. Do I understand how the horse functions? And after that, if I've got that under control, maybe the next thing would be the foundation. So comprehension, foundation. Have I put a good base on good base on the horse? It's like a building. If the foundation's good, it'll all hold together. If the foundation's bad, it'll all fall apart. So do I have a good basis on my horse? Is he confident or is he frightened? Are there fear responses? If there are fear responses, do I know how to remove them? Do I know how to teach my horse? Do I know how to desensitize the horse correctly? But I'm not just saying remove sensitivity. I mean, have a horse that's afraid of nothing but very, very sensitive. You wouldn't want to remove sensitivity. Unfortunately, the word's called desensitization. I know that's not always appropriate, but it's like negative reinforcement. Unfortunately, it's called negative reinforcement, and a lot of people think it's negative, but of course it's just mathematical. Desensitization, you wouldn't remove the sensitivity, but you would remove the fear. You would want the horse to be frightened of nothing but very, very sensitive. That would be the ideal horse. Very, very light, but not frightened of anything. And am I able to sensitize or teach the horse to respond to certain stimulus with precision and teach the horse not to respond to others? Do I know how to use habituation or use different techniques of desensitization to obtain habituation? And am I doing these things correctly? So my horse is not frightened, he's not making mistakes and moving when he shouldn't be, but he is reacting correctly to codes, to cues, to signals, to stimulus that I'm conditioning in my equitation. And maybe if I fully understand how to use learning theory and how to apply it correctly, and I'm putting a good foundation on the horse, I have a horse that's confident, I have a horse with a lot of control where I can control the forward movement, stop, walk the horse backwards, control the forequarters, control the hindquarters. In my groundwork and in the saddle, I'd be able to control what the horse does with the feet. There are 4 basic movements: forwards, backwards, hindquarters, forequarters, and then of course we can go sideways to the left and right. But if I can control his feet, which can do basically 4 things, forwards, backwards, isolate the 2 hind legs, isolate the 2 forelegs, if I can control the horse's feet, then in that way the environment won't control the horse's feet. So do I have confidence? Do I have control? Either I control the horse's feet or the environment controls the horse. Who controls the horse? So if he's confident, he's not frightened, and I have the control of his feet and the environment doesn't, the horse will probably then have the third C, which is connection. So we have confidence, we have control, we have connection, where the horse is concentrating on the human more than he is on the environment. And that's the same. It should be on the ground and it should be in the saddle. When I'm on the ground with a horse, I want him concentrating on me and not on what's going on around us. When I'm in the saddle with the horse, I want him concentrating on me and not what's going on around us. If I have control of his feet, the environment won't. If I don't have control of his feet, the environment will. And I can speed his feet up, I can slow his feet down, I can turn them, stop them, back them up, do whatever I want with his feet. I teach these responses so that I have the horse connected with me and he's not connected with the environment. So on the ground, really important, 3 things that start with C. Do I have confidence? Do I have control? Do I have connection? When I get on the horse's back, I maintain those things. Do I have confidence? The horse is not frightened when I'm up there. Do I have control of his feet? Forwards, backwards, forequarters, hindquarters. And is the horse concentrating on me, or are his ears forward and concentrating on lots of other things? If I have the 3 C's, the confidence, the control, and the connection, then I can probably concentrate on direction, impulsion, and flexion. Now, direction, can I steer the horse? Probably in the beginning, really have him between my legs, between my reins, and I would concentrate on being able to steer the horse with my legs. I'd really like to be able to trot a figure of 8 with my arms folded, stop in the middle, back up 2 strides, and then trot off again. If I can do that, if I can trot a figure of 8 with my arms folded, I probably have direction with my legs and impulsion. I have an accelerator and I have brakes, and they come from my seat. Therefore, when I take the reins, I put the horse into a position and I have flexion. So I wouldn't control I'd have the control of his feet before I had the control of his body. I would control his feet first and then control his body. The position of his body will be largely determined by the level of control I have of his feet. I'll repeat that. The position of his body will largely be determined by the control I have of his feet and not by what I'm doing with my hands. But ideally, I have direction. I can control the horse with precision. I have impulsion, a very good accelerator and very good brakes. And when I take the reins, the horse moves into place with a nice vertical flexion. He's not behind, he's not open, he's not all folded up, and he's not resisting. He's light in my hands. I could hold the reins in between my 2 fingers here, and the horse would be in position, and I could walk, trot, and canter with the horse in place without resistance, without defense, without opposition, and without the horse trying to lose the line. So I'd have self-carriage as well, which would be very important, which relates also to the control of his feet. The horse wouldn't be in flight response, but he wouldn't be behind the leg and not moving forward. He would be in the box. So I'd be teaching the horse, maintain gait, maintain direction, maintain the rhythm, and even maintain the position of your body without me maintaining all those things. Teach the horse to maintain responses. Allow him to make the mistake, fix it until he maintains the responses because it works for him. So in the foundation, there's basically 6 things, isn't there? The confidence, the control, and the connection, and then the direction, the impulsion, and the flexion when I'm on his back. And if I can have those 6 things, now I can take that much, much further and break it down into 20-odd exercises, which we do here when we're teaching clinics and things. But what's important to understand is there are 6 basics. Is the horse confident? Is he frightened? Yes or no? Do I have control of his feet, or does the environment have control of his feet? And therefore, is he connected with me, or is he connected with the environment? If he's connected with me, I can remove the halter and the horse stays with me and I can still control his feet. If he's connected with the environment, I can remove the halter and say goodbye to my horse. When I get on his back, do I control where we go, direction? Do I control at which speed we go, impulsion, brakes and accelerator? And if I pick up on my reins, does my horse yield with lightness, or does he resist or defend? And if I can have confidence, control, connection, direction, impulsion, and flexion, then I have a very good foundation. Now, for the time being, we haven't even talked about equitation. We're not there yet. We've talked about comprehension, understanding. We've talked about foundation, putting a good basis on the horse. And now, when you've got those 2 chapters under control, that's when you attack equitation. After all of those things, and only if you're very good in equitation, would you maybe then choose to go on to the 4th chapter, which is competition. And often people are starting in the 3rd chapter, starting with equitation, don't know how the horse learns, don't understand anything about learning theory, probably not respecting the basic needs of the horse. And so the horse is having all sorts of mental and emotional problems. And because there's a lack of understanding, the foundation isn't so solid, so the horse is frightened. We don't have precise control over the horse's feet. The environment does control the horse's feet. We're in flight response. Direction is not precise. Impulsion is often flight response or maintained flight response. And flexion is a lot of resistance and horses fighting with the hands. And now we're going to go into competition. What's going to happen? Probably going to have an accident, or the horse is going to become a little bit mad and start developing conflict behaviors. So I would thoroughly recommend, when we want to get into equitation, that we break things down into those four chapters. Is there a comprehension or understanding of what we need to know about the horse? Is there a good foundation which probably ensures the success of the equitation part, which is the 3rd chapter, and then you can probably move into competition if all the rest of it is going well. Probably something to think about there. Have I done my chapters, or am I trying to start off in the 3rd chapter or the 4th one, and I don't have the foundation and I don't have the understanding necessary, and this is why things are going wrong. Here in France, getting better and better, and we're starting them off younger now and starting to integrate into the different learning programs. This is how horses learn. This is the basis that you need to put on the horse so that you can do equitation, something that they're very good at over here, and move it into competition, something else they're very good at over here. So a little bit to think about. Maybe in your country, wherever you're from, there's a little bit of work to do, and people need to break it down into steps and maybe not be burning off steps. So what I mean is sometimes people need to be getting back to the beginning and getting the beginning right. Maybe those first 2 chapters, and maybe if horsemanship has a place to play in the whole equitation system, it's in those first 2 chapters. The comprehension, the understanding of the horse, that would be the science of it all, and the foundation of the horse, that would be the horsemanship of it all. And is there the science, is there the horsemanship before we're moving into the equitation? If you've got the science and the horsemanship, the equitation and the competition will go just fine. If you don't, might be another story. Something to think about, and we'll talk to you again soon in another video.